This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Federal Premium Ammunition and by Onyx Hunt, the #1 GPS hunting map app. Onyx, know where you stand. Today I'm sitting inside a studio surrounded by wildlife taxidermy from all over the world. My guest, Jim Manuel, has made a career out of preserving people's trophies for more than 40 years. He's a taxidermist, an artist, and a hunter. Jim shares stories from 40 years in the industry and will offer tips to help you preserve your next trophy. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Brandon Morton is our producer. Before I introduce my guest today, I just want to start this show by saying how much I've enjoyed all of the turkey hunting photos and stories that have come my way from friends and the things that I've seen on social media. Parents are spending time in the blind with their kids, and right now, it's so great to see it. Turkey hunting is a magical time to introduce new people to the world of hunting. I've taken 3 first-time hunters out into the field so far this season, and I can tell you for certain that it's far more rewarding to share that experience with them than it would be if I was out there by myself. Turkey hunting allows you to sit side by side with a first-time hunter and walk them through it and enjoy that experience with them. It's unlike most other hunts because of the way that we can communicate with the hunter and with the birds that we are hunting. I didn't have these turkey hunting opportunities in my area when I was a kid, so I never got to experience the rush of a gobbling tom strutting into my decoy with my dad by my side. But I'm a dad now, and I'm doing just that with my kids, sharing that experience. My son just turned 7 years old a couple of days ago, and right before his 7th birthday, he harvested his first bird, a big old tom. My boy is hooked, and now so is my nephew and a good friend of mine. Both of them have joined me for their first time in the field. My buddy actually sailed 2 arrows over a bird on our last trip out, and he cannot wait to get back out in the field. There is still time to get out there and enjoy this season with your kids and your friends. And I tell you these stories because I hope that you'll give it a try yourself. You might be amazed at just how much the experience can influence the life of another hunter, and you may end up with a new buddy that will join you this field in the fall. All right. Well, my guest today is no stranger to turkeys or any other birds, animals, or fish. Jim Manuel is a professional taxidermist that has opened the doors to his studio, and I'm sitting in here right now. Jim, I don't know how many different critters there are hanging on the wall. Right behind you, there's a 12-foot alligator on the floor.
Sure
Over your
is.
shoulder is a full body mount of a mule deer buck. But you have some just incredible trophies on display here. Is this your studio?
This is more or less my showroom.
Okay.
All the finished pieces I bring up here. Not so much all the customer mounts, but a lot of it's just for people to look at.
Okay.
Bunch of different ideas. And most of the stuff in here either was taken by me or my boys. So
Really?
yeah.
So what are some of the animals that we're seeing here? I see the alligator on the floor.
Yep. You got everything from African to North American. Got a 200-inch mule deer buck behind me, life size, that I shot out in Colorado. And right behind you is the biggest whitetail I've ever taken. That's about a 185.
Archery or rifle?
That was my first deer with a gun.
Come on.
I've always been an archery guy, but that's the first, yeah.
Well, if you're going to take one at 185, I mean, that is a gigantic deer.
Yeah, and that's a Minnesota deer, so
Yeah?
yeah, there's still some big guys out there.
Well, we were just talking before we turned this microphone on, but you and I moved to this part of Minnesota almost at the same time. We're at different stages of our life, but I grew up maybe 5 miles from you here.
Yeah.
And we're in west of Minneapolis, about 45 minutes, close to an hour west of town. We've got, I'm looking out your window right now, and we saw big old Tom strutting out there. You just heard my plea for people to get out turkey hunting. You can see them. You live it.
I watch turkeys every day. I've been watching turkeys for over 20 years. I just love it.
Yeah.
I think you never know what you're going to get.
So describe your setup out here for me.
I just have a nice little chunk of property here, but I'm surrounded by 4,000 acres of Carver Park, which is pretty much heaven when you're living this close to a big city. So
it's unique to have this because you've got all the wildlife out there. And
I get to watch it all, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm waiting. The last 2 years, I've been getting big into the hummingbird thing.
What does that mean?
Feeding them. And they have come on exactly May 1st.
Really?
So I'm waiting to see if they come on May 1st this year. It's going to be a pattern.
Well, when they come, how many do you have?
Usually, when they're all here and actively feeding and everything, I bet you I've probably got close to 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
cool. So that's
cool.
fun. I mean, that's what you get around here is a lot of wildlife. So.
Right. So you're a taxidermist. How long have you been in the business?
This is my 40th year.
Congratulations.
40 years,
That's a heck of a run in any line.
And it's never really seemed like a job. That's the beauty of it.
So does it not seem like a job to you because your love for animals, you're a hunter and a taxidermist, right? Yep. So which one came first, hunting or taxidermy?
I was a hunter going way back to when I was 5, like your son, 6 years old. They would put me in the decoy boat. And they towed me out to where they hunted. And
where was this at?
Out by Lakeland,
okay.
Marsh Lake. They had
Western Minnesota.
Yeah, they had a duck camp out there. So
nice.
And that was early 60s, 60.
You're aging yourself right now.
Yeah. So I was always into that kind of stuff. No matter what it took, I was out there hunting or fishing or doing something, and ended up at North Dakota State. Graduated there in 79, and of course, when you live in Fargo and you're going to North Dakota, you get to be a resident. So that was pretty cool too.
So I've talked to you in the past, and you enjoy North Dakota about as much as I do. Yeah. What's your favorite? You do a lot of bird hunting out there.
Yep.
Can you give a region that you like to hunt out there?
I've hunted in most all I've hunted southeast. I got a friend with a really nice piece of property there that we hunt on, and I've hunted the central for 20 years. We kind of were adopted by a farmer out there. Had a trailer house. I mean, he was like my kid's grandpa. Yeah. So they had good birds there. We did primarily duck hunting, but the pheasants were up and down. Mm-hmm. And now my youngest son lives out western North Dakota, where the pheasant hunting has been fantastic.
Did you get in on it last year then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
It was.
It was amazing.
It was.
I talk about it on this show so much, but it's for good reason.
I've hunted all my life. I'm 65, and last year, one of the hunts out there with my son, and we had a younger guy that it was his first pheasant hunt, and he literally shot his 3 birds by himself.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and I put that hunt in the top 5 of my life. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but it's a little scary this year. It's so dry out there. I don't know what that's going to bring.
I've heard that there was some snow that fell out there recently, and a little bit of rain. So I've got a buddy out there, Tyler Webster. I check in with him pretty regularly, and I was actually going to call him today and ask, what's your water looking like? But if they get it, and I don't know if we're past the point, but...
No, I think it's okay still.
Yeah, but just the fact that in that part of the state, in North Dakota, and really a lot of South Dakota too, they didn't really have a bad winter at all.
No,
I mean, Tyler was saying in February he could have mowed his lawn if he needed to. There was no snow out there and plenty of food on the ground, so they did get some cold, but also just the fact that they came through winter so well.
They did.
And the amount of birds that were out there. And I've been telling people, like, if there's a good hatch this spring, we could be looking at one of the best upland bird hunting seasons in our lifetime out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, let's bring it back into this studio here that we're sitting in now. So you grew up hunting out west. At what point did you get into taxidermy?
I had a roommate in college that tinkered around with ducks and pheasants. In fact, we mounted a couple birds in the dorm room at North Dakota State.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they stink up anything?
No, not really. But that was a different era. We could bring our guns right in the dorm room.
Yep.
It was a completely different time.
Yeah.
So, but I got involved with it there, and then I just I graduated and came home, started working, and I always started dinking around with it, and one thing led to another, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to do this right, and I went to a class. It was a 3-month course down in, it was Reinhardt Taxidermy.
Okay.
I went there for 3 months.
So it was a business that just provided their own classes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just the basics, but that got me going. So one thing led to another, and then pretty quick I was doing taxidermy all weekend long, both Saturday and Sunday, 10 hours a day, and then in the evenings after work. Huh. And that went on for 2 or 3 years, and then finally I just struck out, and here I am. Haven't figured out what I'm going to be when I grow up yet.
So what made you finally, because I assume you had a full-time job that you were working at.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. I liked it so much, but it takes a lot to get something going,
Any small business does. And I mean, you're doing your own operation here. So what was going through your mind when you finally walked in and told your boss, I'm putting in my 2-week notice?
That was kind of funny. It was my uncle was actually my boss.
Okay.
He owned Gresser Construction, and he just flat out told me, he says, you don't want to regret down the road saying, God, I wish I would have done that. So he says, I want you to go do that. And he says, if it doesn't work out, you can come back because I want you. So
well, at least there's a comfort knowing that you're not going to fall.
So away I went,
yeah,
and never turned back. I've never caught up. Right now, I'm a year to a year and a half out. So
wow,
yeah,
wow. Well, do you have any regrets looking back at it? If you would do it all over 40 years ago and say, man, do I want to do this?
Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but. I got to that fork in the road where I could have gone super big, or I could have stayed the same on my own terms, and I took the road to smaller versus big and employees and all of that. So I don't know if that was the right decision, but
what's the reason for not adding employees to this?
It's complications, I guess.
Is it you? This is all your work, right? So if you're not doing it, do you feel like the quality might not be there?
Yeah, I do. And it's not like, say you have employees, if they make a wrong cut on a 2x4 of your car, you just go get another 2x4. Well, I can't do that.
Yeah, right.
So, but there are a lot of things in this business that are, mechanical, but there are a lot of artistic things too. And if anything you do in your life, like if you're a carpenter, master carpenter, well, you didn't just become a master. I mean, it's over a period of time. So I figure if I do every bird, and I think I've probably done close to 5,000 birds.
Wow.
I think if I just could find one little thing to do better on each one.
Yeah.
And you just, that's how it works. Well, it's a lot of hard work, and
it has its own flaws because it's its own living creature, right? I mean, so you have 2 quail that you've worked on for me, and you're like, oh man, Travis, you shot these up pretty bad.
Yeah, you were definitely on the shot that day.
So I have proof that I hit. My shot is good because on TV, a lot of times it shows me not hitting very well.
Oh, really?
The truth comes out when there's a camera over your shoulder. And that's one thing we've Ron early on made it a point to make sure to show your misses, and people can relate to that. And I've done the same thing, and I've missed plenty, and I hit my fair share as well.
Yeah, no.
But back to the birds, there's flaws in them. So, but I guess I can relate to your story there because growing up, I started a fishing guide service when I was in high school, and it grew and grew. And through college, by the time I was in college, I had enough customers I could just guide full time all summer long, and I did that. And then I ended up adding a couple of other guides that I would work with, but then there was always that. This is my thing that I built, and people are hiring me for my services or skills or knowledge, and so in some ways I can relate to it. So it's unique in that with staying small, as you called it. There's a lot of taxidermists in the country that do they outsource some of their?
Yeah, I'd say it's more trending in that area where guys are specializing. Like they do deer heads, they do birds, they do fish, they do reproduction fish. Well, I've always done everything, it's pretty much the way I've rolled. So I don't know that I have a favorite, although I think it would have to lean towards the birds because that's the most artistic part of taxidermy as far as I'm concerned.
Is that something that you can learn, or either, like my wife is an artist. I cannot for the life of me sit down and put together something on paper that she paints or draws. I just don't have it in me. Is that the same?
I could train you to physically what you would call stuff a pheasant. That's the term that we don't like to hear.
Yeah, stuff or mount. Is it wrong to say mount?
No, that's the right word.
Okay.
And I could have you step-by-step mount a pheasant, but to have it look anatomically accurate, that's another story. And that's where the experience comes in. I think one of the real important parts is knowing how to interpret the reference that you're looking at. Like I could sit and watch ducks swimming around, pheasants, turkeys out my window.
Which, by the way, he's over there right now strutting.
Is
his
he?
beard is dragging back there. Yeah, he's just behind a pine tree. I've been looking over your shoulder watching him. I can't quite take my eye off.
I could watch that stuff all day.
Same.
That's just the way I am.
I think
and
as
that's
hunters,
why I ended up doing what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah, as hunters, I'm fascinated by, the wild world. I always have been. I've always watched it. So when you go to start working on something, are you looking at... Obviously, you've got the real animal or the real bird in your hand, but are you, when you say anatomically trying to match that shape correctly?
Well, it's what's going on inside the skin is where you're making your money. That's where everything's going to turn out right. So it's skinning them out, and then you have to build the body that's going back in them, and everything's got to line up, and the wings got to fit in the right spot, and the legs got to fit, and all the feathers got to lay in the right position, like the emperor goose you saw. I mean, that's kind of where it's at, Yes. And the more you do it, you're 2 steps ahead of the game as you're doing it. So you know what could happen or go wrong ahead of time, and then you adjust for that. And it's an art form
for sure. Do you get? What do you use for material? Let's take a pheasant, for instance. Okay. What do you use inside the skin to create their shape?
When I first started out, I wrapped bodies out of Excelsior. And that was, you'd shape them the size of the body, shape, flying, standing, however you wanted to do that. But now the supply companies have come so far, and the sculptors have done such a nice job that you can order commercial bodies. Like you could order 5 different sizes in a gadwall, and so I'm using the commercial bodies now. Okay. And then
is that pretty common? Are most taxidermists doing that?
I think so. Maybe some of the old school guys are still wrapping the bodies, like in the fish. Most of the taxidermists now are buying commercial bodies. I carve my own bodies out of rigid foam because then I can have exactly the right body in that fish.
Is that for a skin mount?
Yeah.
Okay,
for
not
skin
a
mount.
not a reproduction.
Reproduction mounts are reproduction mounts. That's what they are.
You can basically go on Amazon and order your fish then, can't you?
Yeah, you pretty much, yeah.
Except for the painting.
Right.
That's where the art form comes back.
Right.
So if you do the reproduction, you order it, 48-inch muskie.
Yeah. You can have
21-inch girth.
You can have whatever you want.
When you do it, would you add just a little bit of this? What's your take on if somebody brings you a critter, a bird, a duck, or an animal, a fish, and says, let's say, like, I shot this big buck, but it knocked off one of these tines. Mm-hmm. Do you put it back on?
Oh yeah, you could do that.
You can.
Yep.
But do you tell them, hey, this is the way it was when you got it?
You can. I mean, you can build anything back. I mean, that's not the issue.
Yeah.
Some guys, they want it bigger and better than it was. I mean, that's fine.
What do you
They're
feel when
paying
they say that? Do you just kind of laugh inside?
No, I don't.
No, you let them do what they want to do?
Yeah, I just roll with it.
Yeah. I suppose after 40 years, you're doing anything, you roll with it.
I've heard a lot of hunting and fishing stories in my life.
Yeah. Do you have one that stands out?
That's not, I'm sure I do.
That you would be willing to share?
No, I've heard it all.
Okay.
Heard it all.
Fair enough. So let's say somebody goes out in the field, right? And they unexpectedly shoot the most beautiful bird they've ever held in their hand. And they say, I want to bring that home and I want to mount it, stuff it, however you want to call it, but I want to remember that forever. What's your recommendation to somebody on how to handle that bird? What steps should they take to preserve it before they bring it to a taxidermist?
If say you're out in the field quite a ways out and you shoot a bird that you really think's special, personally what I would do is put it in my game vest from the front side and just keep it by itself, kind of
tuck the head under the breast, right, or under the wing.
Yeah, you don't have to get too crazy about all that stuff, but as long as you keep it from the feathers getting really mangled up, I think you're good. And then once you get back to your vehicle, just take it out, keep it separate from the other birds, let the body heat cool out of it. And the way I can usually tell is you put your hand in the armpit under the wing. If it's still warm, just let the air cool it down.
Okay.
Don't let it out in the sun or anything like that, but don't put it in a plastic bag. That's a big...
Really? That's a very common thing that people do, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some real train wrecks.
So what happens to that bird then once you put it in the bag?
I think they just heat up and the bacteria gets going faster.
Okay.
So, and as far as the blood goes, you don't have to get crazy about, wiping it off. And sometimes what actually happens if you wipe the blood off too much, you get that oil protection that they have on their feather, and then the blood will set in. So if you just dab it off, put the head under the wing, and if you have a place where you can freeze it, slip it into a plastic bag and freeze it whole.
But don't slip it into the bag until it's cooled
Till it's
down.
cooled off.
Okay.
Because even if you're putting that bird and he's still warm in a plastic bag and into a freezer, you're still trapping a lot of heat in there. So.
Well, that's the same thing with meat too,
Yeah,
right?
It's even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this person freezes a bird. Yep. And I've seen this play out too, where a guy says, I've got this awesome wood duck in my freezer. I want to show you. And I was like, how long have you had it? And he goes, like 2 years. Is there? Yeah. And he goes, I still have to take it somewhere and I just haven't gotten around to it.
2 years is not a problem.
It's not. Okay. So that was my question. How long?
No, I don't, if it's wrapped properly, I shouldn't even tell you this, but in the last couple of years, I did one duck of my own. I never get to do my own stuff.
I bet not.
And I took him out after 9 years.
What?
Yep.
It preserved? Didn't it shrink up?
It was, well, I had it wrapped good, and the feet were still dry, so I injected them with water, soapy water. And then around the head, I injected that and let it go. And by God, I pulled it off. Wow. But I don't suggest that at all.
Okay.
I had nothing to lose. It was a really nice bird, and I let it go too long. I thought, I'm going to try it. And I got it to go. So, but a couple years in a freezer wrapped properly is not a problem.
Okay. So if somebody gets that bird and they want to bring it in, you do recommend bringing it sooner than later, obviously.
Yeah, well, that gets you in the flow. I mean, that gets you in the cycle of what I'm doing.
Right. So once they bring it here, you obviously, like you said, you're booked out for a year and a half on a project. But for each individual mount, whatever it is that you might be, bird or fish or whatever, is there certain steps? Like, can you take me through the steps that a pheasant or a quail or a duck would go through?
As far as the mounting process,
yeah.
Well, that's the other thing I like about birds. You take a bird out the night before, you're going to do him the next day. So he's thawed like the wood duck you saw me working on. I took that out last night. This morning I start the skinning procedure. So I skin him out, the body comes out, and then I take him over to my fleshing wheel, which is just a bunch of fat flying around. It's a wire wheel that spins really fast, and you got to pay attention.
Well, it seems like something you could really mess up your bird.
Could. Yes, you could.
Have you ever lost any?
I've had them go into the wheel, and I've learned to just grab onto that wheel and stop the motor until you can turn the machine off.
Ooh.
Doesn't happen very often.
It sounds dangerous.
No, it's not. It's a soft wire wheel.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it's not going to hurt you.
So have you ever lost a bird?
No.
You've never lost a 40
honest to God, I have worked on, you see, in the northern states, that's where I think most of your better waterfowl and, well, upland bird too, taxidermists come from, because they're working on all of the pin-feathered, grubby, not feathered out birds.
Yeah.
So if you can do those really well over 10, 15 years, and then you start working on these birds that are all feathered out from down south, it's like a treat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there again, it's just, it's what you know to do to them and carry that out.
So then we'll go back to the process then. So you've got the skin out. Then do you have to dry it for a certain amount of time?
Well, it gets on the wire wheel. You get all the fat and stuff on the inside of the skin off. That's what you don't want in there. And then they get completely washed and degreased. And then when that's done, then they go into a tumbler that I've got full of sawdust, and that'll dry them off, bring them out of there, and then I hand dry them with a hair dryer, basically.
Which is what I walked in on you working on one here a little bit ago.
After that's done, then you start assembling the body that's going to go inside, and that goes in, and you wire all the wings, the legs, and then it all goes together, and you sew it up, then you position it. And that's the real brief story. But
Right. And then what keeps it from deteriorating over time? Is there
the preservative that's actually on the skin, and everything along the way, I'm using 20-multane borax, which is actually a natural preservative.
Okay.
And that's in the tumbler, and there's some other things too. But yeah, so basically you're dealing with the outside skin, which the feathers are attached to. Mm-hmm. There's no meat. There's nothing left except the skin and the feathers. And once everything on that bird is positioned, then he just sits there and dries. And then once it's dry, it's then it's set.
Then you got to add the eyes.
That goes in before you.
Okay.
That's during the mounting process when you're getting the body and stuff in there. So.
Gotcha.
And then the end game is the painting of the feet and the bills, that type of stuff.
And figuring out, the scene that you're putting it in, depending on what they want. Some of those scenes,
there can be as much work in that as there is mounting the bird.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What if you? I'm sure you've done this, but from start to finish, how much time goes into, let's say, a pheasant?
Okay. When I was young and I was really quick, I could probably do pretty comfortably 2 pheasants a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I was expecting it to be multiple days for one.
No. Now, I could probably do 1.5 comfortably.
What's changed?
I prefer to do 1.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't know if... Maybe it's just you're not as quick as you used to be.
Or your attention to detail is more now, maybe?
Yeah, well, that has something to do with it, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about some of these big bucks over my shoulder? What's a timeline on putting, start to
A deer
finish?
head is, by the time you get, if you figure everything into it, talking to the customer twice, ordering the forms, shipping things to the tannery, setting the mannequin up, putting the antlers on it, actually mounting it, and the finish work, I've got it figured out to about 8 hours on time.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but that's not 8 hours straight through.
Yeah.
That's just 8 hours of actual work.
A couple here, then a couple later in the process, couple later on and again. Any idea how many mounts you've done in your lifetime?
I don't know. Like I told you, I was just figuring out my bird thing. My migratory waterfowl book, I'm just coming up on 2,000 and just in that.
Just in that.
Of customer waterfowl. That's not pheasants, grouse. That whole deal. Quail.
Well, and I saw that the emperor goose down there, right? What's the story behind that bird?
That, my son runs a guiding business up in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Swift River Outfitters. And one of his clients when I was up there is from Alaska. So that's the connection.
Okay.
He shipped me those birds, FedEx, and I got them and mounted them, and now they got to get back to Alaska. So
do you have to personally deliver them?
No, I wish. I'm going to try and talk him into an emperor goose hunt.
I bet.
But no, they're going to go to somewhere in North Dakota, and his brother's going to drive them up.
Okay. So do you trust shipping a bird like that?
I'm really not comfortable with it. I got to be
after the fact, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he got it here, FedEx.
Oh, you mean shipping it to me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. It's overnight. Yeah, it's pretty secure.
So you're putting it's frozen.
Yep.
You wrapped it.
Yep.
You put it in a box.
Yeah, and that emperor goose in that box froze when it left. It could be in there for 3 days.
Okay.
Easily.
Gotcha. So that's something that people can and should consider if they're looking.
Right.
How rare is that particular bird?
I think I think there's only, I could be wrong on this, but I think I was told there's 25 or so licenses a year for the emperor goose. And the season I think was closed for quite a while. It's open now, so yeah.
Well, if somebody wanted to get into taxidermy, I mean, you've got, like you just walked us through the process and, the tumbler and everything, but can you do it on your own without all of these fancy tools?
I think you could. Instead of having a tumbler, you could have a big bag full of sawdust and shake the bag. There's, absolutely.
What are some of the things that you would suggest to somebody that might want to try? Let's say they've got a bird in their freezer that they just haven't taken in and said, you know what, this might be a fun project I want to try myself. Yeah. Is it something you recommend based on what you've done?
I don't know why not. You never know what you're going to...
Yeah.
You go, God, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to me, actually. I just gave it a go.
Right.
And I think the most important thing is you got to know what that bird does and what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
That's the key. Because everybody can see a pheasant on the wall and say, yep, that's a pheasant, but it's not really a pheasant. It's just pheasant feathers on the wall.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and I similarly, I remember somebody that came out 20 years ago when I first started guiding, and I took him out and he caught a 52-inch muskie and he was jacked. And that was, in the early stages of Minnesota's muskie boom.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's a fairly common fish nowadays. For him, that was his first muskie, and he wanted to take that fish home. Yep. And I told him before they came out, I'm fully catch and release because it's such a fragile resource. Yep. He let it go, and he still to this day is bitter about it. He still hasn't let me forget it because he doesn't want the replica. I said, you can, I told him, I released the fish and said, you can do a replica of it. And he goes, I don't want that. It's not the fish. I want the fish up there. Right. What percentage of, as long as we're on the fish topic, what percentage of fish do you get skin mount requests versus replica?
I still say it's, at least in my business, I'm still doing probably 70% skin mounts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Of all the things that you have mounted in your life, in this, of the thousands of animals or fish, what's been your favorite?
I don't. I answer this question a lot, but I don't think I have a favorite. If I could only do one, I think it would probably be birds, because that's going to serve me well going forward. Because it's not like doing a 70-inch bull moose. That stuff's heavy, big, So I think the birds will serve me well, but I really don't have a favorite, because after I'm done doing 100 deer heads, I'm ready to make a move to something different.
Yeah.
That's kind of the beauty
it does
of
get
it.
old?
I don't think it gets old. It just gets repetitive. And then, when I'm done with the deer heads, well, then I'm moving to birds, or I'm moving to fish, something, That's kind of how I work it.
When somebody brings in a deer, I have to imagine you've seen some pretty gross deer come in.
Yep.
What do you do with that situation?
Well, if it's something that can't be salvaged, I do keep on hand extra capes.
Okay.
So that's always an option. A lot of guys will go that route. Some guys don't, but that's fine too. You can do a European mount. You can do an antler mount, Or you can just wait till you shoot another buck down the road and use that cape on different antlers.
Keep the antlers.
So,
yeah. It's amazing how interchangeable a lot of them are. But I've also heard some people look at a deer and say, nope,
right.
That's not a deer from up here. Like, for instance, I hunt up in northwest Minnesota. We're pretty close to the Canadian border, and we get some really big.
That's where that's from.
Yeah, we get some really big-bodied deer up there. And there's a couple of mounts that are at deer camp that have been done, and the guy in camp will say, that's not a deer from up here. It's like, they just are way bigger. That deer was way bigger.
Right.
But
speaking of deer, that's another issue that now with the chronic wasting, that's, I think, a lot. Guys should really seriously think about figuring out how to cape their own stuff out, because all the people that are going out west and hunting, they can't transport that deer head back home to have it mounted.
Could they transport the antlers?
Yes, the antlers cut off of the skull.
They're out there strutting again.
Yeah,
2 of them now. Jeez, sorry, they're distracting me. So they can take the antlers
off the top of the skull, and if it's caped out, you're good to go. And I can't tell you how many times I get those calls from out west. These guys are out there and they're like, I don't know what to do. And I go, can you cape it out? Can you find somebody to cape it out? And it's a pretty easy process. And I think it's something everybody needs to know.
Though they're scared about it because they're never going to get the trophy again, right?
Yeah,
that's what's going on in their mind.
Right? No, I get that, but I can fix pretty much anything that you screw up.
Really?
And if you're caping your own deer head, you're going to be really careful.
Right.
So that's what I try and stress on people that are going out west. Learn how to cape things. People in Canada and all the people out west, they grew up. They go out hunting and they shoot something. Well, they got to part it out. They can't just throw it in the back of the truck and haul it home, So I think that's something good to know.
Yeah, especially if it's a real bucket list type of hunt.
Yeah.
You draw a special tag and it's maybe never going to happen again. To at least be considering. And this kind of relates to is, this last year, all over the country, there were a lot of meat processors that were not taking venison.
That's right.
mean, they were so flooded because of COVID and the beef and pork orders. They said we're not doing venison.
There's just west of here, Taylor's Meats. They're not doing deer anymore. From what I've heard, I've had customers tell me that's like, well, they've been processing deer for 40 years.
Yeah. Well, I've been processing deer for 30, at home with my dad when I was old enough to start. And it's not that scary. That's why I try to tell people, just be prepared. This is one of those things where being prepared. And that's if you're going to go on these types of adventures, or even, like we just talked about with that bird, knowing what to do. It's interesting hearing your perspective on it, that you're not as concerned because there's so many times I've hunted with people that have this beautiful bird and they just like they want the hunt to end right there because they don't want to risk it.
It's common sense. Just keep it the basics.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to overdo it. Just be careful. You know, like I said, let the body heat cool out of them. Don't ruffle up the feathers any more than you have to. Mm-hmm. And, you know, freeze it. That's the best. Yeah. Yeah, if you can freeze it.
Once you do a mount, how long will that last?
As far as I want to say, they're going to last forever. I don't see any reason other than if they got wet or you had a leak or they should last forever. They really should. There's nothing there that can deteriorate.
So does somebody that has a mount that didn't end up the way they wanted it, they were not satisfied, can they bring it to somebody else? Like if they brought it to you, could they fix it? If once it's done, it's done.
Nope. I had a guy bring me a couple snow and a blue one time, and he was so upset, and I didn't know what to say. And he said, Can you fix them? Can you change the pose? Can you change it? And I said, no, the skin is dried. I can't, there's nothing I can do. I can repaint the bill and the feet. That's about it. So
last question here then. If somebody is looking for a taxidermist, what questions should they be asking the taxidermist that they reach out to make sure that they're hiring somebody that's going to give them the product, the end that they want?
I suppose I would want to know how long they've been doing it. I'd want to probably look at their work, see, where they're at. How long does it take? If somebody can give you your deer head back in a month, that's probably kind of sketchy.
Really?
Yes. I don't know. Unless he doesn't have a lot going on, but yeah. So, I mean, you're going to have to wait for it. Anybody that's been in the business is booked out. So, I don't know. I ask him questions, look at his stuff. Those are the most important things. Yeah. If it should look like the real deal. Yeah. That's what you want to look at. The eyes, or the eyes, does it look like it's looking at you? That type of deal. So.
Yeah. I lied. I have one other question. If they decide, I want to just try this for the heck of it, it's not a trophy of a lifetime. If I mess it up, I'm okay with that. Where would they get supplies to be able to do it themselves?
There's a company where I say you could get everything you wanted to in one shot. Would be if you look up on the internet, Van Dyke's Taxidermy Supply, which is now owned by McKinsey.
Okay.
Taxidermy Supply. They pretty much have everything you would ever need. Just to get their catalog and look through it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. It's also pretty cool to come to a place like this and just see the variety of wild animals and the way that you've preserved them. And, this is a lifetime collection for you here.
Yeah.
It's
really
very
is.
cool. I know my kids, whenever they've been into a place like this, they just want to
That's the best.
Stare at everything.
Some kids, they're a little intimidated, but some kids, they just take to it. Yep. And they want to touch stuff. That's their job. I don't get all upset about that, unless it's really, something I can't repair or replace or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's just like we were at Shields the other day in Eden Prairie.
That's a nice store.
And they've got the big mountain with all the animals. And my kids just, if they could climb up there with the animals, if they could just do it, they would. Well, Jim, I appreciate you letting me come in here and letting us get a glimpse into your world here. Jim's Lakeland Taxidermy and 40 years.
40 years.
That's a good run.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Yep. Once again, thank you to Federal Premium Ammunition and Onyx for helping us to make this show possible. Be sure to download the Onyx Hunt app before your next hunting adventure to find out why it's one of the most valuable hunting tools available today. All of the episodes of the Flush television show from our latest season and seasons prior are available on our YouTube channel. Simply search for The Flush TV, and you'll find all of our episodes in their entirety. If you have a few seconds after this show is done, please go to the bottom of your app and give us a rating. It helps move us up the ranks and will let more people share in our love for the uplands and bird hunting and everything that is the great outdoors. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank, reminding you to take the time to introduce someone new to the field.